Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin.
I was sitting in my car outside the courthouse, parked in a side lot, half listening to the rain hit the windshield when my phone buzzed once, then again, and again. 6 messages back to back, all from the family group chat. That alone was enough to set off alarm bells. I opened the thread, thumb hovering, and read the first one from Marissa. Just made $50 at the yard sale for a box of old books and binders I found in the garage. Easy money. The next message was a picture. 3 cardboard boxes spread out on a folding table in Mom's driveway. I recognized the handwriting scrawled on the tabs immediately. My stomach clenched. Had to dig through your old office boxes when I was cleaning out the back. Guess lawyers like to hoard boring crap lol. Then a laughing emoji. I felt the blood drain from my face. My mouth went dry. No way. I zoomed in on the picture. Top of the pile was a binder with a label that made my heart stop. Discovery, Exhibit G. It was mine, from the Wilcor Tech case. I hadn't even realized I left it in storage at Mom's. That binder alone had internal emails, financial spreadsheets, whistleblower interviews, stuff we had spent 2 years collecting, stuff we weren't even supposed to print unless locked inside the firm. I scrolled down to another message. Some nerdy guy offered full price just for those. Said he loves vintage legal stuff, whatever that means. I didn't reply right away. I didn't ask questions. I didn't start a fight. I just typed one word. Understood. Then I hit Do Not Disturb on the group chat and switched over to my contacts. Found the name I was dreading. Hit call. Fletcher here, my boss answered, sounding like he hadn't had his coffee yet. It's Laura, I said, keeping my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. We have a serious breach. Documents from the Wilcor case were taken from storage and sold at a yard sale this morning. The source was my family. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus Christ. I stared straight ahead at the raindrops crawling down the windshield. My chest felt tight. I had just nuked our entire case. Millions of dollars, hundreds of hours, compromised. Because my sister thought she could make a quick $50. I started the engine and pulled out of the lot. I was headed straight to the office. I parked in the garage under our building, took the elevator straight up, and walked into a war zone. The glass doors were propped open, and every light in the office was on, even the ones in the corners we never used. Phones were ringing, someone was typing fast enough to crack keys, and I could hear Andy arguing with the paralegals near the conference room. When I stepped in, Fletcher's head snapped toward me like he'd been waiting. Laura, now. I walked in and shut the door behind me. All eyes were already on me. Fletcher, Andy, Claire from compliance, 2 senior associates, and Jen, our litigation manager. Everyone looked like they hadn't slept in a week. Probably felt like that too. Fletcher stood. Tell us what happened from the top. I took a breath and kept my voice low but steady. My sister, Marissa, took 3 boxes from my old office storage. It happened last year during that water leak. We had to empty out fast, and I moved a bunch of documents into my mom's garage. I meant to bring them back, but I caught myself. Excuses weren't going to help. I didn't. She found them yesterday and sold them at a yard sale this morning. Jesus Christ, Andy muttered, leaning back hard in his chair. They weren't just any documents, I continued. They were related to the Wilcor case, specifically the pretrial exhibits and witness summaries from the internal fraud probe. A binder labeled Exhibit G was in the picture Marissa sent. Are you absolutely sure? Claire asked. I prepped that binder myself. I know what it looks like. Fletcher ran a hand through his hair. What else was in those boxes? Roughly 300 pages, drafts, timelines, interview notes from the whistleblower, Paul Renner, the email chain showing they altered the quarterly numbers, possibly more. The room was dead quiet. Andy finally broke it. So, let me get this straight. Your sister stole confidential materials from a federal lawsuit and sold them to some guy on the street for $50. I nodded once. Yes. Do you know who bought them? Not yet. Jen spoke up. How do we even begin to recover this? Fletcher didn't hesitate. We start now. Claire, get our PI. I want them digging through every second of surveillance from that neighborhood. Find the buyer, find the damn boxes. Claire nodded and stepped out without a word. Andy turned toward me. Look, Laura, I'm just gonna say it. Maybe it's best you step back from this case for now. I froze. Excuse me? This is personal. Your family caused the breach. You're emotionally tied up in this. My family didn't leak anything on purpose, I shot back. Marissa is careless, not malicious. Doesn't matter. The optics are terrible. The defense will use it against us in court. You know that? I looked at Fletcher. You need me on this case. No one knows the Wilcor timeline like I do. I interviewed half the damn witnesses myself. You pull me off now. You cripple our prep. He didn't answer right away. Just looked at me like he was weighing something heavy. I made the call to report the breach before anyone told me to, I said, because I know how serious this is. But you also know what I bring to this team. I'm not stepping back. Jen glanced at Fletcher. She's right. If we lose Laura, we lose context. We're 3 weeks from depositions. He finally nodded. All right, Laura stays. But you keep your phone on. No more family contact unless it's through us. Understood, I said. Claire came back in, holding her phone. I found the Facebook post. Marissa advertised the sale, listed old legal books and binders specifically. I clenched my jaw. That idiot. Print it, Fletcher snapped. We've got a trail. I looked around the room and saw it hit everyone at the same time. This wasn't just bad, this was explosive. We were in it now, all the way in. The second I walked out of the conference room, my phone lit up with missed calls. 3 from Mom, 2 from home, and 1 from Tim. And of course, Marissa. I didn't answer any of them. I headed to my desk, opened my laptop, and tried to focus. I made it maybe 7 minutes before the damn thing rang again. Mom? I finally picked up. Her voice was already wound up. Laura, what's going on? Marissa's in tears over here. She said you called the police? No, I called my boss, I said, keeping my voice even, because your daughter sold privileged legal documents that could tank a federal case. Well, she didn't know that, Mom snapped. She thought it was just your old schoolwork or something. She was trying to clean up the garage for me. She shouldn't have touched anything with my name on it. She was trying to help. I rubbed my temple. It's not about help, Mom. It's about her walking into a room that didn't belong to her and deciding she could make a buck off what she found. That binder she sold, if it ends up in the wrong hands, Wilcor's legal team will drag us into a mistrial. That means people who deserve justice won't get it. Oh, stop, she cut in. It's paperwork, Laura. No one's dying. You lawyers always act like the world is ending over a few sheets of paper. I stared at my monitor, not seeing any of it. That paperwork is worth more than your house. Silence. Then, in a quieter tone, she said, Well, you didn't have to blow it up like this. Marissa feels horrible. You could have fixed this quietly. She stole confidential documents and sold them to a stranger. I couldn't ignore it even if I wanted to. You think Fletcher would let that slide? Well, maybe if you weren't always so uptight about everything. I'm doing my job, Mom. No, you're punishing your sister. I hung up. I didn't slam the phone or yell. I just ended the call, set the phone down, and took a long breath I didn't have time for. By 4 o'clock, Tim texted me, Can we talk? We met outside the coffee shop by his office. He sat down across from me, latte in hand, looking like he already regretted being there. I'm not here to argue, he said, but you kinda went nuclear. She sold evidence, Tim. Yeah, but she didn't mean to. Come on, you know Marissa doesn't pay attention. She thought they were textbooks. And that makes it okay. No, but it's not like she leaked them to the press. She sold them at a yard sale for lunch money. That lunch money could cost our firm millions. You think the court cares about her intentions? He leaned back in his chair. Honestly, I think the whole family's wondering why you couldn't just fix it without making her look bad. Because it's not about how Marissa looks. It's about a legal breach. My firm could get sanctioned. I could lose my license. You think I care what people on Facebook think? I care about the law. Tim sighed. She's your sister, Laura. Yeah, I said. And I've covered for her my whole life. He didn't argue that. He just looked down, stirred his drink, and muttered, I guess we just hoped you'd have her back. I stood up. She never had mine. I didn't wait for him to say anything else. I walked away. I got back to the office just after 6. Claire was already in the war room, sleeves rolled up, files and screens scattered across the table. She didn't even look up when I walked in. Got it, she said, pointing to the main monitor. Neighbor across the street has a ring cam. I pulled the feed from this morning, 9:37 a.m. The video played on a loop. There it was, Marissa's folding table, her dumb little chalkboard sign that said, "Everything must go," and a guy in a gray jacket flipping through one of my binders. He leaned in close, like he was scanning the pages. Then he glanced around, real quick, twitchy, like he knew he shouldn't be doing what he was doing. "Pause it," I said. Claire froze the screen. He looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place him. Square jaw, thinning hair, glasses, the kind of guy you'd forget the second he walked out of a room. "He paid in cash," Claire added. $50. Took 3 boxes. Marissa handed them over like she was giving away Girl Scout cookies. I turned toward her. "Did he say anything?" She didn't remember his name, but she said he asked specifically if they were legal documents. And she told him, "I think my sister's a lawyer or something, so maybe." Then she joked that if he found anything good, he should cut her in. I felt my chest tighten. I pulled up the Facebook post Marissa made and read it again. Garage sale, clothes, home goods, and old books from my sister's law school days. Price to go. I pointed at the screen. She practically advertised the breach herself. Claire shrugged. "Yeah, she's not subtle." Jen walked in with Andy and Fletcher right behind her. "Any progress?" "We have a visual on the buyer," I said. "Claire's still working on ID." Andy crossed his arms. "And if he doesn't want to cooperate?" "We push, legally." Claire held up her phone. "Hold up, I think I got him. That face was bugging me. He testified in a securities case back in 2019. His name's Nathan Devlin." Fletcher raised an eyebrow. "Devlin, the accountant from the Flagstone case." "Same guy," Claire confirmed. "Lost his license after pleading out to wire fraud. Got probation, works freelance now, supposedly does some consulting." My stomach dropped. He knows exactly what he bought. "Jesus," Andy muttered. "He's not just some random nerd. He might have been looking for this kind of stuff." I stepped forward. "We need to move now. If he's read through even half of what was in that binder, he knows how explosive it is. Whistleblower statements, investor deception, off-book transactions. It's all there." Fletcher turned to Claire. "Get his address. I want a team at his door by tonight." "I'm already on it." Jen looked at me. "And what about Marissa? Are we reporting her?" I didn't answer right away. I stared at the paused footage again. Marissa laughing, hands on her hips, completely clueless. Or pretending to be. "I already filed the internal breach report," I said. "Fletcher decides where it goes from here." "She's your sister," Jen said carefully. "Yeah," I replied. "And she just handed a felon 3 boxes of privileged evidence like it was junk mail?" Claire's laptop dinged. She spun it around. "Devlin lives in a condo downtown, near 9th and Elwood." Fletcher didn't waste a second. "Get the legal team, call the PD, and prep a statement. We knock on that door before he gets smart and Too late," Claire cut in. "He already called someone. Unknown number hit his phone 15 minutes ago. Could be a lawyer." Fletcher pointed at me. "Laura, you're coming with us. If he recognizes anyone, it'll be you. And if he knows what he's holding, we need him calm." I grabbed my bag and followed them out the door, my mind racing. This wasn't just a recovery. This was a salvage mission, and we were already running out of time. We got to Nathan Devlin's place just before 8. 2 officers met us out front. Plainclothes, low profile. Claire hung back near the car while Fletcher, Andy, and I walked up to the door. Fletcher rang the bell. Nathan answered faster than I expected. He looked surprised but not clueless, just tense, like he'd been pacing the place for an hour waiting for the knock. "Mr. Devlin," Fletcher said. "That's me." "I'm Robert Fletcher. This is Laura Payne and Andrew Cohen. We're attorneys with the Lawson Group. We're here regarding the documents you purchased this morning in Springfield Hills." Nathan's eyes flicked toward me. Recognition clicked. He stepped back. "You're the sister, right?" "That's right," I said. "We need to speak with you. May we come in?" He hesitated, then opened the door wider. "Sure, I didn't think—" "Yeah, okay, come in." His condo was tidy, minimal. A single lamp lit the living room, casting long shadows across a low shelf full of leather-bound books and finance magazines. On the coffee table sat 2 of the boxes. The third was already open. "I didn't know it was anything serious," Nathan said, raising his hands like we were about to cuff him. "I collect legal history stuff, case files, memos, weird old contracts. I thought these were throwaways. The girl told me they were law school notes." "She was wrong," Fletcher said. I stepped closer to the box and pulled the binder off the top. I opened it and flipped through. Exhibit G tab still intact. My handwriting on the margin notes. There it was, Paul Renner's testimony summary, the internal audit logs, the email thread that started it all. You understand, I said. These materials were never supposed to leave our firm. They're part of an active civil lawsuit. The corporation involved is under federal scrutiny. Nathan's eyebrows lifted. This is active. Very, and privileged. He ran a hand through his hair. Jesus. Okay. Look, I swear, I had no idea. I didn't even read through half of it yet. I saw exhibit on the labels and thought it was court case memorabilia. Andy cut in. Do you still have all the contents? Nathan nodded. Didn't touch anything but this one binder. The other 2 boxes are still sealed. Fletcher gave him a long, steady look. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to keep those documents in your possession, untouched, unread, unsold. They're legal property tied to a case under strict confidentiality. We're not seizing them yet, but any tampering, copying, or distribution will be considered obstruction. Nathan raised both hands. Got it. I don't want trouble. You'll also be providing a full statement, Fletcher added. Someone from our legal team will contact you tomorrow, and you may be called to testify. Nathan looked at me again. Your sister really just gave this stuff away. I didn't answer that. I didn't need to. We gathered the box lids, checked the binders, and documented the contents on video for the chain of custody record. Nathan cooperated with everything. By the time we left, I was cold from the inside out. The relief hadn't kicked in. Not really. The documents were still safe for now, but that didn't fix what was broken. Marissa hadn't just made a dumb mistake. She'd compromised everything I'd worked for. Every hour I'd spent building this case, every client we were trying to protect, it had all been one impulsive decision away from collapse. As we stepped into the hallway, Fletcher clapped a hand on my shoulder. Good work holding your ground, he said, but we're not out of the woods yet. I nodded and followed him out. No arguments, no relief, just moving forward. We pulled back into the office lot just after 10, but I didn't go inside. I got in my own car, backed out, and drove straight to my parents' house. I was done with texts and side comments. I needed to hear it from her, face to face. The porch light was on, like always. Mom kept it that way, for good energy. I didn't even knock. I walked straight in. Marissa was on the couch, curled up in sweats, scrolling through her phone like the past 24 hours hadn't happened. She looked up, saw me, and barely blinked. Well, here we go, she muttered, tossing her phone on the cushion. You know why I'm here, I said, standing in front of her. Obviously. She stretched her legs out. If you're about to scream, can you keep it down? Mom's trying to sleep. I stared at her. You sold privileged court evidence to a stranger and didn't even bother to tell me. It wasn't labeled top secret, she said, shrugging. They were just old boxes sitting in the garage. I thought they were law school leftovers or whatever. They were part of an active lawsuit. You could have blown a federal case. Her voice got sharper. Then maybe don't leave stuff like that at Mom's house for 2 years. That's your defense. I didn't clean up fast enough, so you helped yourself and sold my career for $50. Marissa scoffed. Oh my God, Laura. You act like I broke into the Pentagon. I was trying to make space and help Mom clear out junk. I didn't know it was the smoking gun. I sat down across from her, jaw clenched. Do you even understand what you almost did? If that guy hadn't cooperated, if those boxes had ended up in the hands of a reporter or a defense lawyer, my firm could have been sued. People could have lost jobs. Our plaintiffs, real people who were lied to and cheated, they might never have seen justice. You're so dramatic, she said, rolling her eyes. Everything in your world is life or death. It is when you're dealing with corporate fraud. Right, because your job is the only thing that matters. I leaned in. That's rich, coming from you. You've spent years mocking it. Every time I got promoted, you cracked some joke about how boring I must be. You've never respected what I do. Marissa crossed her arms. I respect people who don't take themselves so seriously. You walk around like the entire world's on your shoulders. Not everything's a crisis, Laura. This was, I snapped, and you treated it like a garage sale item. Before she could fire back, Mom appeared in the hallway in her robe. Girls, please, it's late. I turned toward her. Did you know she was selling my files? Mom looked uncomfortable. She mentioned cleaning out some boxes. I didn't think it was anything important. It wasn't. Marissa cut in. You're the one blowing it out of proportion. She's the one who could have committed a crime, I shot back. Mom stepped between us. Enough. Marissa didn't mean any harm. She was trying to help. Can't we just talk about this like family? I stood up. Family doesn't sell each other out for pocket change. Mom looked at me like I'd just insulted her personally. Laura, don't be cruel. Your sister made a mistake. She said she's sorry. She never said that. Marissa didn't argue. Laura, Mom said firmly, you need to let this go. It's not worth tearing the family apart. I stared at both of them. My sister blank-faced, my mother pleading like I was the one out of line. It hit me right then. This wasn't just about the documents. This was the whole damn pattern. I took care of things, and Marissa got a pass. Every time. I didn't say another word. I grabbed my keys and walked out. By the time I walked into the courthouse the next morning, I was running on 3 hours of sleep and pure adrenaline. The firm had already filed our breach report before sunrise, and Nathan's sworn statement was being notarized when I left my apartment. Still, none of it changed the fact that Wilcor's legal team was about to try and tear us apart. The hearing was packed. Defense counsel sat across from us in their usual smug formation, 3 suits deep, all perfectly groomed, all pretending this was business as usual. It wasn't. Not even close. The lead defense attorney, James Hauser, stood up first. Your Honor, due to the recent disclosure of a serious chain of custody breach by the plaintiff's counsel, we're formally requesting that all materials tied to Exhibit G be deemed inadmissible. The documents were, according to the plaintiff's own report, removed from secured storage and sold to a third party with no legal oversight. This compromises the credibility of the evidence and raises questions about potential tampering. Judge Lambert didn't say a word at first, just tapped his pen on the bench and looked over his glasses at Fletcher. Fletcher stood. Your Honor, the breach was immediately reported. We tracked down the recipient within 12 hours. The buyer, Nathan Devlin, has provided a sworn statement confirming he believed the materials were worthless and unopened. We recovered the boxes intact, unread and undisturbed, save for one binder. Hauser cut in. That's all it takes. One open binder, one opportunity for someone to see information they weren't supposed to. That's a violation. Fletcher didn't flinch. Devlin is a former accountant. He purchased the boxes from a private sale. The person who sold them was not an employee of our firm and had no legal authority. As soon as we became aware, we acted swiftly and transparently. That is not evidence of tampering. It's evidence of diligence. The judge looked at me. Ms. Payne, you were the point of contact during the recovery, correct? I stood. Yes, Your Honor. Did the buyer ever indicate he understood what was in the documents before the meeting? No, I said. He believed they were outdated legal binders. When we explained the situation, he was shocked. He handed them over willingly. Lambert looked at the defense. Anything to dispute that? Hauser stood again. Only that the damage is already done. Regardless of Devlin's intent, the breach happened. That alone disqualifies the evidence. Lambert raised a hand. I'll decide what qualifies. He leaned back and paused just long enough to make my chest tighten. Here's the reality, he said finally. Chain of custody breaches happen. It's not ideal, but what matters is how they're handled. In this case, the plaintiffs acted immediately. The buyer provided a written statement. The materials were preserved. The defense has not provided evidence of tampering, only speculation. He looked back at Fletcher. The court will allow the documents to remain in evidence. I let out the breath I didn't realize I was holding. Hauser didn't argue, just nodded and sat down, his jaw tight. Fletcher leaned over to me. That's a win. I nodded, but the relief didn't hit me like I thought it would. My muscles were still tight, my stomach still twisted. Afterward, back in the conference room, Andy poured 2 coffees and slid one across to me. Not bad, Payne. I've seen cases thrown out for less. Not exactly a badge of honor, I said. It never should have gotten that far. But it did, and we held the line. Claire stepped in with a stack of updated timelines. We're clear to move forward. Depositions are locked. Trial calendar holds. I took the binder and flipped through it, but my eyes blurred. My brain wasn't keeping up anymore. We were still standing, but I felt like I'd just gone 12 rounds. The conference room was too quiet. That fake air-conditioned silence that only happens when everyone's pretending not to be nervous. Across the table, Wilcor's attorneys laid out their offer. $75 million in settlement. No admission of wrongdoing. Confidentiality agreement across the board. They even smiled when they said it, like they were handing us a gift. Fletcher didn't blink. No deal. We're not letting your client buy their way out of accountability. The lead counsel shrugged, like he didn't care either way. You've had a breach. That alone puts your position at risk. This is your best shot at protecting your clients before the whole thing goes sideways. We recovered the documents. The judge ruled in our favor. Doesn't mean the jury will. He leaned back and folded his arms like he thought we'd cave. We didn't. When they left, Fletcher turned to me. Thoughts. I stared at the empty chair across from me. They're bluffing. They know what's in Exhibit G. They're just trying to get out before the public sees it. He nodded. Then we pressed forward. The room cleared slowly, everyone heading back to their offices. I stayed behind. I was still staring at that empty seat when Fletcher came back in. You all right? I gave a dry laugh. Not really. He sat down next to me. Talk to me. I rubbed my forehead. I've been holding my breath since this started. The case, the breach, Marissa. I feel like I haven't taken a full breath in a month. It's understandable. It's not just work, Fletcher. It's personal. I grew up thinking I had to be the one holding the family together, being the responsible one. And now I'm watching them all line up behind the one who nearly blew it all up. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You made the hard call, not the easy one. That's what integrity looks like. Doesn't always get applause, but it matters. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I just nodded and stood up. I had to get out of there. That night, I met Mom and Marissa for dinner. They wanted to talk things out. We sat in a booth at a quiet Italian place like nothing had happened. Marissa looked down at her plate the whole time, pushing food around like a teenager forced to eat peas. Mom opened with it. Laura, it's time to forgive your sister. This whole thing has gone too far. I set my fork down. She's never once apologized. Not really. She's upset, Mom said. She feels terrible about how it turned out. That's not an apology. Marissa looked up. I didn't mean for any of it to happen. Okay. I didn't know it was that serious. I was just trying to help Mom. I shook my head. You were trying to clear space and make a quick $50. You think I haven't suffered, she snapped. Everyone's blaming me. I've been called selfish, careless. Tim barely speaks to me. Tim took your side. Yeah, and even he's turning on me now. Mom reached across the table. Honey, this family doesn't work if we keep holding grudges. This family doesn't work when no one's held accountable. They didn't get it. They never had. I left before the check came. Later that night, Tim called. She's not doing great, Laura. Neither am I. I think she gets it now. She's been pretty wrecked over the whole thing. Wrecked because she feels bad, or wrecked because she got caught. There was a pause. Can't you just come around eventually? I looked out the window. The city lights were buzzing like they always did, but I felt disconnected from all of it. I can't, I said. Not yet. The verdict came down on a Thursday morning. The courtroom was packed, cameras outside, reporters waiting like vultures. I sat behind Fletcher, hands folded in my lap, every muscle tight. The jury found Wilcor liable on all counts: securities fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, intentional misrepresentation, damages awarded, $160 million, full payout to our plaintiffs, no gag order, no settlement silence. The defense team didn't even flinch. They'd known this was coming. Fletcher let out a slow breath. Andy grabbed my shoulder and gave it a squeeze. It should have felt like victory. It did, for about 5 seconds. Then it just felt finished. Like crossing a finish line you crawled to. I left the courthouse without saying much. Just nodded, smiled, shook a few hands, and walked. The next day, we had a small gathering at my parents' house. Cookout, casual. Mom wanted to celebrate. I didn't want to go, but I showed up anyway, out of obligation, out of some twisted attempt at peace. Marissa was there. She didn't talk to me. I didn't talk to her. We kept opposite sides of the backyard between us, like it was neutral ground. Mom pulled me aside near the grill. Her tone was clipped, tired. Enough is enough, Laura. You won. Isn't that what matters? I didn't answer. She's your sister. This can't go on forever. I stared at the hedge behind her, the humming of the grill, the laughter from across the lawn. It all felt so fake, so far away from what the last few months had been. She nearly cost us everything, I said, and I've paid for it every day since. Mom crossed her arms. It's time to forgive her. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just turned around and walked back inside the house. A few days later, I got a letter at the office. Handwritten, no return address. It was from one of the plaintiffs, Angela Ruiz, middle-aged woman, former Wilcor employee. She'd lost her retirement when they cooked the numbers. Lost her home, too. "Thank you for fighting for people like me," she wrote. "I know what it cost you. I just wanted you to know it mattered." I read it twice, then a third time. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just sat there holding the paper and let it land. All the stress, all the wreckage at home, all the nights I asked myself if it was worth it. It didn't fix everything, but it made it clear. I did the right thing,